and I don't want to harm you. Yeah, I'm just hoping to charm you.
Live from Studio 1396, Columbus, Ohio. I am A.J. England, and this is Late Lap, brought to you loud and proud by anybody willing to pay for their logo on my hat. Tonight's special guest is a friend of ours, David Hoffman from the Northeastern world. David, my friend, welcome back. First person to ever be on Late Lap twice. So thank you, and how are you?
I'm honored to first off be the first person to be multiple times. That's a really big honor. But yeah, good, and just happy to talk about racing.
Well, I tell you, so it's episode 43, and it felt only right to talk about the King sport today. I think it's appropriate. We jump right in. We're talking about NASCAR and especially their Cup Series, their return to the Monster Mile, Dover Motor Speedway. It used to just be called Dover International Raceway, Dover Speedway. Well, it became a part of the Bruton Smith family of tracks several years back. Dover Motor Speedway looks really good with that red, white, and blue logo. I'm sure that you just love the concrete hill mile, right?
Yeah, I was there one as a fan, another as to cover it. Must admit the race I was at was a scorcher, and Martin Truex Jr. slapped the field, so that's all I remember.
Would that have been when you were younger, the 07 win, the first career win?
Fortunately, it wasn't. It was 2016. I know it was the last time I ever got to see Tony Stewart run the Cup car, so yep.
Oh, yeah. Well, the Dover Speedway, that it's had a hell of a lot of moments. Of course, people of our broad generation, I'm not disclosing either of our ages, we certainly remember the dominance that was Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus. Ryan Truex's Xfinity win was really bitchin'. It was really, really cool. I don't think too many dry eyes after that race. Of course, his brother Martin, a real legend of the track, and that's one of about 13 tracks that are the family's home track. Is there a race, maybe even from a distance, that really rings a great memory for you?
At Dover?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. I mean, honestly, oof. I always think back because I remember for a lot of, I grew up a Tony Stewart fan, so I'd say probably that 2013 win that he had. It was in that Code 3 car, and stayed out on like two tires, got around Montoya and led the rest of the way. But that's for a long time. You're like, man, that's probably gonna be the last win. But fortunately, Sonoma happened. But that's probably what rings true a lot when I think about Dover.
He beat Montoya both of those days, and I'm certainly a supporter of Old Smoke, but I got to tell you, I really wanted a car with a diaper sponsor to win that day. I believe he had Depends Advanced Underwear was the partner on Montoya's Target car that day, if I recall. It was a Chevy SS, and Montoya was certainly the class of the field that day, but Tony got it done big time.
That was a fun one. Yeah, I mean, the amount of Target sponsors, like the co-sponsors that he had, as fun days.
Juan was tough. I thought that this track here really complements that of the multi-discipline driver, Tony Stewart, Juan Montoya, of course. Martin Truex seems to be able to drive anything. What do you think it is about Dover that it doesn't typically complement the mile and a half or even the flat tracks, the mild racer?
I don't know if it's just because of the fact that it's concrete that it really it's the way. I think maybe it's just the way you have to conserve your tire, or how you use your tires up if you use them up too quickly, or plus that banking's treacherous. So then you're not going to find that. I mean, Bristol's kind of similar, but with Dover it's just longer and a little bit bigger, and I guess tire wear I think is the biggest thing, and it kind of suits those guys that are able to. I mean, heck. Even though Larson, I think he's only won there once, but still, it's it really complements those guys like a Jimmy Johnson who, it's like that video game. He can drive anything, which I don't think I ever played that game, but it seemed interesting.
My favorite car on Jimmy Johnson's I Can Drive Anything was definitely the Commode, but we'll talk about that another time. It's a shitty story. So we've turned to 5-year-old humor as we hit the 1.5-mile concrete banks. Kyle Larson, Juan Montoya, Tony Stewart. We're saying a lot of great names. But frankly, the underdog could get it done. Clint Boyer, Martin Truex Jr. in the 2000s, they did some really cool things. Kurt Busch and Ryan Newman did it. These are not underdogs in the grand sense. These are championship caliber drivers, but these are the A-, B+ drivers that have had that success. So definitely a broad range. Now, folks that know me, I pride myself in putting a new graphic for every damn thing we talk about. You're just going to have to sit on the Dover logo for a minute, okay? How about we have 5 race cars racing without a charter this weekend? We have Denny Hamlin's pair and is it 2 or 3 from front row? At least a couple of them. Several race cars racing, and they got to get on speed to take a term out of Larry Mack's book.
Ah, man, you could go on a tangent about all of that stuff. And I'm not someone like when I see legal stuff on like Twitter or something, I'm like, oh, I don't know, but you can't help but just be. It's fascinating because it's this weird crossroads that I feel like we've all kind of felt was going to happen, like with NASCAR and this whole charter system. It's I understand, and I don't know the logistics of, and I don't really remember logistics of why front row and 2311 decided to not sign the charter agreement, but I think it's going to make things interesting, and if anything, it's going to see who's going to budge first because NASCAR needs a Michael Jordan / Denny Hamlin ownership, and obviously front row they're as much a part of this as anyone, just because they were at the ground at one point. They started at the ground for so many years. They're the underdogs, and now they're to that point where, especially with the next gen car, that they're almost at the same level playing field, and
Yeah.
and they've won with Michael McDowell a couple times, obviously now with Spire, but I I'm interested to see over the next couple of weeks because even though there aren't going to be over 40 entries, like how is 2311 and front row going to sustain? Because I don't think they're going to be being paid the same amount because of like the charter agreement and everything else. So I think it's who's going to budge first, and what does NASCAR do? Are they just going to be standing on their high horse and stay firm? Because both sides need each other. You're not going to see Michael Jordan create another racing series, even though he's got the money, whatever else. You're just not going to do that. But it's not like a World of Outlaws high limit type of thing where you can just create a whole different series. You're going to need lots of drivers. So I'm curious to see what's going to budge first.
Well, I think that they do need each other, but I'll also say there has to be 10 cars, or you and I could go start a next-gen program and just be there. I don't know if we could beat 2311 on time or not, but those cars, listen, field sides are small, but people do own next-gen cars. They are out. Chip Ganassi could go start a race tomorrow. Yeah. So I think this is good for the independent team when there are 40, 41, 42 entries in the next few weeks. Certainly, Indy should be a track with lots. But if there aren't a surplus in speeds, then it's really a moot point, and it will further devalue the charters, sans, of course, television revenue, which is massive right now, nearly an $8 billion deal. What about the drivers themselves? Think about, lots of people have traded and leased and sold and changed charters, but these are championship caliber teams and drivers that are now in potential long-term harm, not necessarily for this year, but what if the sport gets to that healthy point of 45 cars every week? I don't see NASCAR forgiving them very soon.
No, you feel bad for the drivers because the caliber of like a Tyler Reddick, Bubba Wallace, and Gregson, and those drivers. It's tough because they sign contracts like it's a whole contract, and you're trying to keep your livelihood, because everyone's got family, and bills got to be paid somehow, and you feel bad because especially on 2311 side. They were championship 4 last year with Reddick. What does he do? Does he go somewhere else? But it's like, where are you going to find the caliber of car? It's just a really sticky situation that I don't know how it will get resolved.
I use a term on here, so people misuse the word irony, and I like to refer to those moments as small world irony. How ironic, and this is proper, folks, look it up. How ironic is it that 2 of the 4 finalists in the InSeason Tournament, which is sponsored by the Race Team Alliance, are 2311 cars and their Toyota teammate and Christopher Bell. I think it's great.
It's just, yeah, it's funny how life works.
Excuse me, John Hunter. Excuse me.
John Hunter, yes. Yep. It's just funny how life works sometimes. And someone's getting the $1 million.
That's right. And one of them will go on to be in the final, the final duel because they're head to head. In the words of the great racist asked Melly Gibson, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Well, we just lost the feed. No.
Oh, no.
No IPs. So we have the in-season round of 4, and there will be a 2311. The charter is a big part of these cross promos. TNT Television is shoving this down our throats. They want us to buy in the way that we do for the NBA in-season tournament, which was one of Adam Silver's greatest marketing opportunities. Fans love it. I'll give them credit. This has been a success, but it may damn well be the winning team is the team that told them to kick rocks, pound sand, and get the hell out of here. Meanwhile, Ty Gibbs is saying, none of you matter, and I'm not getting any media, and I love it.
It's just funny to me because you got these. It's almost not random cast of characters, but when everyone's filling out the bracket, they got a Larson, Christopher Bell, all these guys. But here we are with Ty Dillon, John Hunter, Nemechek, Tyler Reddick, and Ty Gibbs. I mean, that's as random as can be, and it's been hard for me to follow it sometimes, and I think maybe it can be refined a little bit, like at least from like a coverage standpoint. But I know it's all new But I do think it sheds light on a guy like Ty Gibbs, who he's kind of been the butt of all jokes sometimes it's like kind of being at RCR than not being at like Germain Racing and that Geico car. But to have him be able to go head to head against Denny Hamlin, he beat everyone's favorite driver, and then to go against Bowman and come out on top there, move him at the last lap. That's exciting. That's like, there you go. That's your moment right there. So I think it's interesting, and obviously it sheds light on like a John Hunter Nemechek, because that guy's he's quietly been pretty solid overall this year, and with Legacy really starting to find their groove with Eric Jones as well. So I don't know how it's going to end, but it has been interesting, and I think, selfishly, I think it'd be really cool if Ty Gibbs were to get the $1 million. It's that's a life-changing thing, regardless of how you sway it. So, I'm going to be locked into it. That's for sure.
I feel bad for the ultra casual fan. I came from a real fandom and reporting base of stock car racing, and in the last 5 years, I've gone straight line committed, right? But how about the first-time fan? This media, the in-season TNT promotion, was to garner new fans and entertain current ones. How shitty is it that not only do they have 2 of their teams suing them, but 3 of them are named Tyler? It's very confusing.
It is. And it's funny because I'll be watching it. I'm trying to figure out who's going up against who, because I'm not going to try and pull up NASCAR.com. And it's funny they try to do the color coordinating, and I'm still confused with it. But I trust Adam Alexander, Dale Jr., and Steve Clark to tell me what's going on in the booth. But it's just. It adds entertainment, that's for sure.
It sure does. I just wish there was a Ford named Ty Majeski right there instead of John Hunter Nemechek. Would be perfect. We'd cover all grounds.
There we go. That would be amazing.
So I'm going to give you one duel, and I'll pick the other. I'm going to pick the one you don't. Tell me the winner of one of these pairs out of Dover.
Out of Dover? Looking at, I'll go with the Tyler Reddick versus Ty Gibbs. I'm going to get those names confused. I'm going to call him Tyler Gibbs. Honestly, Ty Gibbs has been very quiet, and I'm curious how Tyler Reddick's going to be able to. He's a great driver, but you're curious how with the whole, with the charters and everything else, and kind of that murky future, how they'll perform as a whole. So I do think Ty Gibbs probably is going to get the edge over that, just because he's sort of kind of found his groove. Because I know at the start of the year, it's like he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn in terms of results, and confidence was low. But to have these road courses and street course and all
Sure.
that stuff, I think he's definitely kind of hit his stride. So I think he's going to be in the final for $1 million.
Well, I'm going to go with Ty Dillon to meet him, and
Yeah.
we'll see if one of us advances. Maybe they'll cut us a share of it. I think that's how that works. You
Yeah, I
know,
don't know.
what?
Did they say a fan was getting $1 million somehow?
Yeah, I'm sure that somehow, even in our off the grid selves, I think we're exempt. I don't think we're welcome to the million. Oh
No.
well,
Oh
it
well.
was worth a shot.
Yeah. Call somebody up.
You know, another driver who is not really eligible for $1 million, but is super hot. He has defined his own era. And unlike the Celsius Chevy of Ty Dillon or the two monster Toyotas of the other two Tys, it's the Red Bull sponsored Chevy, Shane Van Gisbergen. And 22% of our audience here at Late Lap are New Zealanders and Aussies, and they just seem to love him. And they swear that I say every word wrong, but I spell them all with U's, so how's that for Oxford English? SVG, winner of the last 2 road and sport car races. He's just freaking hot.
I'm amazed. It's funny because I still remember the reaction from the drivers when he won Chicago. I guess 2 years ago now, and everyone's like, I got my rear end kicked.
Yeah.
And he outclassed us, and it's funny because even though they've been able, because nothing's really hidden. You can see his foot camera, you can see like his data and everything else, but it doesn't matter. He's every single lap, you'll see like the lap times, and he may be, I mean, qualifying, for instance, at Sonoma, is 4 tenths faster than second place. And uh, not once during that Sonoma race did I ever feel like he was going to give it up. Chase Briscoe gave it one heck of a shot, and he was there, and
That's
he's
right.
he's on a hot streak too after winning Pocono a couple weeks ago. But man, SVG is just, it's really fun to watch because you watched when I was younger, it was the Boris Seds, the Scott Pruitts, the Ron Fellows, all these drivers that you're rooting for, but it's probably not going to work. But once in a blue moon, like AJ Allmendinger in 2014, obviously now he's fairly consistent now, but SVG kind of take it to another level, and like 10 times more than Marcus Ambrose. And Marcus Ambrose was fantastic in Cup as well. But, I do think it'd be interesting if Ambrose versus SVG, like both in their primes, how that would shake out on a road course. But yeah, SVG's just been impressive.
Well, it's awkward because it would be just the greatest matchup. I believe that of all those men you just compared, in these cars, these heavy stock street-based cars, I don't think that their disciplines shine through. Robbie Gordon really is the only exception who did it on ovals, right?
Yep.
And so Marcos, he didn't get to race this car, and SVG didn't get to race the previous gen car, and clearly there's an age difference there. But they both came from that sports car, the V8 Australian Supercar Series, and so did Scotty McLaughlin over an IndyCar, among several other great racers that do that. And when you add that in addition to the just unbelievable marketing effort that is Justin Marks and his entertainment company, keyword entertainment, they're not a racing team out of Nashville. I think that more than likely I would lean on the side that SVG is superior. Certainly the stats are showing he is, but it's comparing LeBron and Jordan. It's comparing, DiMaggio to Jeter. It's nearly impossible, but it's a great argument, debate, and conversation. It's fun to watch.
It is. And I do think, and you look at like SVG, and you look at, just what he's accomplished, and it does make you, I mean, I don't care what people say. Oh, he doesn't deserve to be in the playoffs. He doesn't know how to do an oval. I mean, when he figures out how to do an oval, I mean, Ambrose was starting to figure that out. I mean, Montoya had his light,
Oh, yeah.
had his shiny moments here and there. But I do think, and especially with the Trackhouse team that continues to grind and continues to improve every single year, I think once SVG figures that out, it's going to be, people are going to be eating their words for sure.
The one argument for anybody who wants to argue Team Ambrose would be the schedule didn't complement their skill as much.
Yeah.
Now I believe it's 7 street and sports car races, whereas with Ambrose they had Deuce. They had Infineon, and they had, which became Sonoma and Watkins Glen. And so maybe there's that argument. The schedule is so much grander, but I'm just trying to play devil's advocate more than anything. Both superior acts right now, as the title and the graphic says, we are in the era of SVG, and if he wins a championship, I don't know what they'll do, because NASCAR doesn't want the international driver to win.
No.
They don't want the woman driver to win, or the black driver, or the gay driver. They want to just have them in the field so they can talk about them and the someday diversity stories. NHRA is really diverse. They don't have to talk about it. But NASCAR has to... Sorry, David. Listen, he doesn't endorse my opinions. He's just a good buddy, and he talks with me because he's a good man.
I'm just here smiling, cheering you on.
Can you understand what I mean, though? As far as you don't have to agree, but my point is, if an Aussie or a New Zealander ever wins the NASCAR Cup Series, I bet they start eliminating some of the street cars, races. And frankly, I don't want that, because I was the guy in 2002 who said, let's get 10 of them. This complements my interests. But the casual fan, it's very wishy-washy how many we should have. Right now, it's the era of SVG.
You just, in my opinion, you want to have the diversity. I mean, IndyCar, they boast having ovals, short ovals, Indy and street course, road course. You want to have a good balance. And if you want to call yourself like the top motorsport in North America, I would hope that you would have a good mixture of everything. And I don't know if you want to get rid of that.
No, I certainly agree. Now, finally, I want to talk briefly, because you seem to be a nostalgic fan of the sport. And nostalgic meaning the gold era, 95 to 05 maybe. How about Red Bull back in victory lane? Casey Kane, Brian Vickers, they did great. AJ Allmendinger and Scott Speed, not as much, but they were more known for ushering them into the sport. I think it's great to see another Red Bull paint scheme back, especially with Mad Max Verstappen about to leave. Who knows where their F1 and Ford future is over in Europe?
Yeah, that's the thing. And for me, it's funny. I actually have a Vickers Red Bull car over here. But it's Red Bull is always the iconic team. Even when they first came in, you're like, okay, those are bold cars. They had like the red wheels in the back to kind of match the Red Bull. That's
right.
Just everything about it was just very cool. And then obviously having Vickers win at Michigan, and
the Michigan,
Kane winning at Phoenix, and it's cool because it brings in the cool factor, I think, because Red Bull's obviously on top of the world, not very long, not much longer in F1, but they're kind of like the trendsetters. They're doing like almost like like Ken Block type of stuff, where like the Hoonigan, that sort of stuff, that everyone's going to follow it, like a Travis Pastrana, and it's just cool. And now to have, you got SVG as a driver, you have Connor Zilisch, and obviously he's going to be very good in the Cup Series probably next year. But it's just cool because you're kind of ushering in, you're bringing in the young fan, because young fans, I mean, everyone knows Red Bull. Probably most people drink Red Bull. I don't drink energy drinks, but a lot of people do. And then they're gaming, and then to see that on a race car, that's win-win situation for everybody.
That's right. And what a cool market. I obviously had the opportunity to be around the Monster executives for a couple of years, and then when I did my first podcast for 3.5 years, my partner was Liquid Ice Energy out of Michigan, a regional brand, and Red Bull, they've clearly got their act together. If you are an energy drink partner, you are in stock car racing right now. And so they get the great privilege of telling all of their competitors, hey, we're in Winner's Circle on Sunday and on Saturday, to be frank. So here's the cool thing in regards to business marketing. In the next several months, I would love to be a fly on the wall at Trackhouse with Ty Norris and the sponsor executives, because WeatherTech and Red Bull are going to be fighting for more races next year. and a lot of times they're fighting to get out of their contracts for a race or two to save on the budget. I guarantee you they want another car at that team, regardless of what happens in that 99. They are so pleased. I promise you. I don't know those people, but they are pleased right now.
That's the thing, and that's the cool thing. I mean, heck, we might see a Trackhouse Indy 500 entry at some point sooner rather than later. I know
Mhm.
Marks isn't gonna keep anything off the table, or Rolex 24. I mean, they kinda did it with this past year in that Corvette. I mean, who knows? And sponsors wanna be all on that type of team where, "Hey, anything's on the table. We got these cool drivers. We got" like, we're doing all these different things, and it's kinda like you said, it's the entertainment aspect of it as well that kind of ties it all together.
That is absolutely right. And I'm just excited. I'm clearly appreciative of what SVG and the Red Bull WeatherTech Chevy team do. Justin Marks is not a racer, he is an entertainer. And I believe that he has good political and religious morals that I don't mind sharing here on this show from time to time. Want to get one quick pick for at least the Cup race, Dover? Any picks for this coming weekend?
I It's hard, because there's so many easy answers. I mean, I'm looking over here on the TV, and Kyle Larson just won another high limit race.
Yeah, on Fox.
100 grand. Yep, that was cool. You could go Larson, but I'm honestly thinking about how everything's kind of gone. First race back on an oval. I'm kind of leaning towards Chase Elliott. He's been so quiet this year, but consistent, I think, has been the word. And to get that win at Atlanta, I mean, that's only sparked a fire even more. And I think he's second or third in points right now. And the three-way Hendrick battle for the regular season title, I think
Yeah.
Elliott kind of has that advantage, and he's won there a couple times before. So I think Elliott's going to get it done.
I'm going to go with one of his rivals, Denny Hamlin, Denard Hamlin. I think that he's done it before, and I think that even he had those back-to-back wins, and now he hasn't done much since again. But he is pissed, and when Denny is angry, usually it becomes somebody else's problem. So I'm going to put his team owner cap in a basket, his team driver hat, and say that the energy transfers. David Hoffman, tell everybody where you can be found and what is next on your docket as a motorsports journalist.
Oh boy. Well, you can find me on X or Twitter and Instagram at Behind Catch. It's producer and host of Behind the Catch Fence. We're on YouTube and doing a lot of cool things. We just posted a tour from Casey Kane Racing. That was pretty cool, and I got to see all the cool cars Casey has, including that Red Bull car from 2011. So if you want to see that car, that's in the video. And let's see, we have a Elite Motorsports kind of interview with Richard Freeman and Eric Enders coming up here next week or
Nice.
so. And we'll be at a racetrack at some point this year, hoping probably going to be Reading for the first race of the NHRA countdown. Hopefully Pomona as well for the finale, and depending on where my wife and I end up living at here next, might be going to more races. Who knows? But all TBA. But yep, Behind the Catch Fence for everything from behind the scenes to interviews. You name it, we got it.
Well, tell her hello for us, and let's get you out to one of these Midwest drag races too soon. What do you say?
Definitely, yes, I like that.
Well, I appreciate you, and I'm sure that we'll say hello again real soon. David Hoffman on the late lap, and that's going to do it all for us tonight, folks. AJ England here, as I say at the end of every great show, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, smile, be happy, and until then, take care. And to our friends in the South, sea amable consigo mismo, sea amable con otros, sonría, sea feliz. Hasta entonces, cuídese. Good night, everybody.